Okay, great. Good evening and welcome to Practical Emotional Intelligence Conversations, Season 2. The Season 1 was amazing. We were doing calls in the morning and we have Pragya from that group. Akshay had also joined once and we are hoping that we have some amazing conversations once again this month. And this month, just a reminder that these calls are from Sunday to Wednesday. So 1 day of the weekend and 3 days of weekdays we felt would be a good combination and 7 p.m. So thank you so much for joining and let's begin.
7 to 8 for 1 hour.
Yes, 7 to 8, 1 hour call.
Yeah. And maybe as you may recall from our previous conversations that we don't start with any topic in mind, any agenda, that we just come up with in the conversation itself. So right now it's total blank. We are starting next season first call of May. Nothing in our mind so far what to talk. So we will ask you guys to suggest something what we can talk about.
Interesting when you say practical emotional intelligence. So we always talk about this is the most talked topic I would say in today's era because of COVID and usual challenges as well. However, we all know there is amygdala and it takes action and we need to stop it. But when you say practical emotional intelligence, so can we have some tips or something which with which we can control our mind when it is going to take those actions? Because we read a lot and then we forget when the situation comes.
Yeah. So the idea is that we bring up something and we take everybody's ideas about how they do it right now and then share whatever. So I can start with my own. So I feel that
Okay, that would be great.
yeah. So what works for me when you say that, so you're typically bringing up the response versus reaction versus response mechanism.
Correct. Yes, absolutely.
So for us, I think in mindfulness they have this technique of watching. So when I say
Okay.
watching, imagine like there is a movie playing in front of you and there's a waterfall on it.
Water?
The screen does not waterfall. There is a waterfall on the
Okay.
screen. Like you have these screensavers where there is a waterfall,
Yeah.
or there are screensavers where there is a volcano. Now the thing is that the screen does not get wet, or the screen does not, is not on fire, right?
Yeah.
So in the same way, when we train our mind to see things more neutrally, just like the screen, there is a projection, there is something that is there, but it is just showing that. So when we see something from a distance and we keep seeing that I am feeling anger in this moment, or I am feeling jealousy in this moment, or I am feeling very irritated in this moment, but when there is a gap between me and the recognition of that emotion coming up, and I am not that recognition, so I am not anger or I am not irritation, because you're not angry all the time, or you're not happy all the
Correct.
time. It keeps changing. So just like those screensavers on our screen, these emotions and that palette is very, very diverse. Like you also don't know sometimes what can trigger you, and something just triggers you out of nowhere, and then you're like, okay, I didn't expect this to trigger me. Some triggers are very familiar also to us, no? Like we know them कि इससे तो मुझे गुस्सा पक्का आता है और उससे तो मुझे कभी गुस्सा नहीं आया. But we also surprise ourselves. So I think this constant exercise of one taking every trigger as an assignment to dissect it and see. And second, I think the screen example is really stuck to me. It was taught to me by one of my mindfulness teachers. Since then, I'm trying, I would found effort to kind of see through and at maximum times I'm able to kind of either shut off, not talk anything, or if I give a response, then it's at least not that fiery. Because I used to be a very aggressive person.
Okay.
But yeah, I think that's what has helped me. But at the same time, I would like to know all other people, Pragya, Jyotsna, and Swati has just joined us, Akshay.
So in essence, what you said is there is a screen on the wall and wall is not that waterfall. Similarly, we should also be not get carried away by the emotion that is coming. Is that you meant?
So not getting carried away sounds like an action to do.
Okay.
I am saying the action to see it.
See it, okay.
To see the action. To watch it from a distance. To watch the angle coming up as if it is coming up in someone else.
I say something on that. Have you ever had an experience where when you have a certain emotion, whether you are angry or you are happy or whatever the case is, you can actually observe that you are happy or angry instead of being happy or angry? Do you understand the difference between these two?
So you mean पुराने किसी केस को review करना is what you are telling, experiencing, or self-awareness?
Self-awareness, I'm talking being aware that you are happy. So sometimes what happens when we are angry, we are too much involved in the emotion. So at that time we are not watching ourselves, we are actually performing.
Okay.
So it is like you are performing in play, but you can see yourself that you are performing in the play versus you are playing the play.
Okay, understood.
Have you had that experience? That
yes.
You can distinguish between these two?
Yeah.
Okay, explain, tell me.
So, like Ambika said, there are certain triggers. So those triggers those triggers which are familiar, at that time I observe myself and I am aware that I am not happy about this, or I am rather upset or angry. And if it is a new trigger, or if it is a very difficult situation, so when anxiety level goes very high, then at that point of time I am not able to.
I agree to this. When it's hurting too much,
Yeah.
I think it's quite difficult. Yes.
Yeah, so it's quite difficult to observe. That is what you're saying?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. True. So yes, so we most of us are like that. Like when we are in the emotion, this is not an uncommon experience. We've all done this only. This is how it is, that when we are going through certain emotions, when we are very happy, we just get so happy and we are just celebrating the moment. We are just happy and we are in the moment and we are enjoying it. That's how it is. And when we are angry or sad or frustrated, then we are in the moment and we are living that emotion. So even saying this, that can we actually see that happening, for most of the people that kind of language doesn't even exist. They don't even know what we actually talking about.
Yeah.
How to actually even make yourself separate from this thing and see. So forget about doing it. The sentence is not even understandable by most of the people. That exactly what we are asking.
What do you mean by that?
What is the action item over here? We don't even know. So it's okay if that part is confusing, and it's okay if we are not able to grasp this sentence itself, that can you observe yourself being happy, can you observe yourself being angry. Just reaching that point itself will actually start opening up lot of dimensions for you. So nothing to do about the emotion, but actually observing that I am angry right now. While you are angry, actually observing that I am angry, not telling it later that I was angry or I was happy. That is just reporting it. That is what most people are able to do. After an hour or after a day, you can look back and say, I was very angry. But when you are angry at that time, can you actually see two? Can you actually see that there's two of you? Imagine this way. And it could be just imagined. So in the beginning, you can just imagine it and pretend that way, because then only you will be able to get there. So pretend that you are two. You are not one. You are two. One of you is angry, and one of you is watching that you are angry. And just pretend that. Try to force yourself to be in that situation where two of you are constantly there, one playing the role and one watching the other one playing the role. One is performing on the stage, the other one is the audience. And you have to pretend this. You have to just force yourself to look at it that way. And once you start to pretend, and once you start to watch yourself, you will see that sometimes the intensity of that emotion will also start to diminish. When you are one, when you are the actor and the audience, you cannot distinguish your own performance. You don't know how the performance was it good or not, because you are doing the performance. When you are also reviewing yourself, imagine you have a twin sister, and that twin sister is watching you and then tell you later on that whether your acting was good or not, or what could be improved, what was better, what was worse, and all that. Then only you can arrive at that point in emotional intelligence, which is the crux. The definition of emotional intelligence is having the intelligence to manage your emotions and another person's emotions. You cannot do it if you are in it. If you are doing it yourself, if you are also flowing in the river, and the river is taking you wherever it is taking you, then how are you going to manage it? Because you are too engrossed in the acting. You cannot watch yourself what kind of acting you are doing. So it is quite impossible for you to manage your emotion. Forget about being aware about the other person's emotion. You are an actor who is too much engrossed in your own role. You don't even know what the other person is saying. The acting of the other person is there, but you're not reviewing it. You're just too busy playing your own role. So there is no self-awareness. You might be doing a Grammy Award-winning role, and there could be 10 other actors around you who are also performing. But in that moment, you are the only person for you, because you have no self-awareness of all other 9 actors around you. You're just too focused on playing your own role to the best of your abilities, and nobody else exists. That's the best analogy I can give you. If you pretend to see that a big drama is happening, this whole world is like a stage, and there's big drama happening. Everyone is performing their role, and you are not only aware of your own role, but also aware of everybody else's role, and and until you become aware, there is nothing you can do to improve or do anything to it. Otherwise, we will all just be too much focused on playing our role. Does that analogy make sense? Okay. Gauri, you can unmute yourself and talk also. I would like to hear more of. So you wrote down that yes, it makes sense. Yes, but I would like to hear more.
Yeah, so when you say that, because this happens many a times, like you rightly pointed, that the next day or maybe an hour after the incident, you can review your performance and come back and say, I didn't do well, I could have handled the situation in a better way. However, then and there, at the moment, it's very difficult to manage it. So when you say you can, with practice, do this dual role of performing and watching. So I'm sure when we watch it, because when we watch after an hour or a day or whatever, many a times I feel regret and I feel like I shouldn't have done this. This was a trivial issue. So if I can do it in the moment, then definitely I'm going to handle the situation much better. So this helps with the self-awareness part. Now I couldn't connect it to, if this is there, then how do I manage the other person's emotion, because he is or she is not going to do what I am going to do, to be self-aware, that is watching in the moment. But you mentioned it that it's possible to do both by this, so I would love to hear more on it.
Okay, no problems. So far, whatever we have talked, maybe I'll get some input from others also. What do you think?
And then we can dive into the others part.
Yeah, we'll
I
go
feel
further.
so,
So let's reinforce so far whatever we have discussed, and let's see what others say about it.
Yeah. Is that okay, Gauri? You can just write in the chat if you want.
Yes, please. I would love to hear others' perspective, because that's the best learning.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Thanks.
Great.
Yeah.
So
Go ahead, guys.
So
Anybody?
Jyotsna and Pragya, Akshay, Swati, what do you guys think? So far, what we have talked.
Uh, Sachin, you are saying that first we have to we have to play both the role observer and performer. But you are talking about the emotions which are more of a negative emotions, which are like anger. Sometimes when you are angry, you don't think about the situation and you react. But before that, you need to, if you train yourself to understand the situation before reacting it will lead to a different reaction. But then what about happiness? Even to, happiness is the feeling or the, emotion which nobody wants to, observe or, perform. Happiness is the emotion where everybody wants to be happy, so how, so are we only talking about the negative emotions, or are we talking about our the emotions which are like happiness,
Okay, so my opinion on this is that we don't consider any emotion as negative or positive. It is quite possible that your happiness could become a reason for jealousy for others as well. So could be a good emotion for you, but people around you might feel jealous about it, or might feel irritated also. That how come you are so happy? The situation is dire, or the situation is so. Like, are you stupid, or are you not understanding what is going on? How can you be so happy? So it's very subjective. Happiness doesn't always is same for everyone. Sometimes like I have this habit of diluting any serious situation by cracking joke, and it becomes a matter of irritation for many people around me when I crack a joke, because they just feel that this is not the time for a joke, and I don't go by that there is a time for making a joke. A joke is a joke. So again, it's very subjective. There is no such absolute thing that happiness is always going to be a positive for everybody. Could be positive for you, maybe negative for a lot of people around you. So going by that, what I mean is, we consider an emotion as an emotion. Now, there is no such thing as good or bad or positive, negative. And the idea of what I am talking here is not that you do anything about it for now. I think this is a very complex topic that we are discussing right now, and I'm trying to break it down into steps. And the first step that I am asking, or I am proposing in this group, is don't do anything. Just be angry whichever way you want to be angry. Just do whatever you are doing. I'm not saying tone down your performance or anything. I'm not asking that. I'm just saying that watch yourself performing. That's all I'm saying. I'm saying just be as angry as you would have been anyway. Be as happy as you would have been. But just watch it also. That step will actually lead you to somewhere completely different. That first step of watching yourself doing it. We will discuss next after that, because Gauri has also asked something, and we will take this forward where we want to go. But right now, as a first step, all I'm saying is watch yourself doing it, and whatever, whether you are angry, happy, dancing, singing, crying, depressed, whatever you are doing, you just watch yourself doing it. That's all. Nothing to change there. No change, nothing, nothing to do. It's just observe, just watch. That's all. That's the first step.
Sachin, it's Akshay here. If I may,
yes,
can I pitch in?
Yes.
Yeah, please.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Like you said, you're just trying to split the complex idea into smaller bits, and I second that. And I just wanted to try and split it down a little more. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean to say,
sure.
let's just consider that it is just emotions. Any emotion it may be, happiness or pain or anger or anything it could be. It is all going to cloud our judgment at one or the other point of time. So let us just simply consider it as just emotion, which is going to probably cloud our judgment, which is going to probably push us into a situation where it is going to be difficult to handle, and we might end up regretting later on when we start reviewing our actions about whatever we did. And like when you said that you were talking about you were trying to talk about how you can have the ability to watch yourself while you're performing. I just want to try and connect it to another simple idea or a simple example, which could probably help everyone visualize what exactly you're talking about. This could be something like performing a dance, or performing or being involved in a duel, a martial art fight or something like that. I mean to say you're not just looking at your opponent, trying to withstand the fight while making sure that you are performing to your best ability, but you're also trying to be aware of your surroundings, so that if you get pushed in a certain direction, you can use the terrain of the fight to your advantage. You could probably be aware of your surrounding, I mean to say, you could probably try and keep the sun away from your direction of sight so that you don't get blinded, or you could probably try and use a rock to your advantage, a boulder which is there lying nearby, something like that. And if you also try and connect it to what what do you say, probably most of us are aware of the classical dance form Bharatanatyam. So when there is a hand and eye coordination in your dance, whatever postures that you present in your performance, they start to add a lot more grace into your performance. So that is pretty much the most important crux of what we are all discussing about. It is just we trying to use our own emotions to the best of our abilities, including being aware of our emotions to make the best out of that awareness. Controlling emotion is one thing. In addition to controlling the emotion, we're also trying to be aware of what kind of emotion is arising, so that we use that in the right way to make sure that our abilities are enhanced. So it could be anger. You could try and channel that anger into something which is going to probably help us out. Fire. You can simply say, like, you can use the fire to forge something fantastic, like a samurai sword or Damascus steel. So it could be anything. So
yeah,
we can try and utilize
fire
those
in
emotions.
itself is not fire in itself is not bad. So
yes,
sometimes anger, when we say anger itself is not bad, but how that anger is used it's like fire. So that fire can cook meals, and that fire
yes,
can
of
burn
course.
down the house also.
Exactly. So when we talk
like
about
that.
practical emotions, so when we talk about practical emotions, I think it is more related to how we try to channel our own emotions into a contributing factor, rather than how it is going to impact on others. That is the first idea. We are going to look at the reaction of others at a later stage, because we need to try and mitigate some certain anticipated risks. Correct me if I'm wrong, Sachin.
I didn't understand what you mean by that. We have to correct some anticipate the. I didn't get that part. So just explain more. What do you mean?
Okay, so when we are able to try to understand what emotion is trying to cloud our judgment, the first thing that we are able to do is try and channel it in the right direction, so that it is going to be something which is productive for what our intentions are or our goals are. So yes, that is the first thing. Obviously we are not alone, we are surrounded by people. Like you said, happiness for one person might not be the same for another. Success for one person might not be the same for another. So when we are going to have certain things like social interaction or anything as such, when we are working together, or when we are running a company or organization or anything like that, when we are involved in certain layers of the organization, of course we'll have to think of our actions as not only something which is going to lead us in the right direction, but we are also supposed to look at our actions as something which is going to affect certain individuals, which could be positive, which could be negative. That's a separate thing. So when we are looking at our actions affecting others apart from ourselves and our goals, we probably, being aware of ourselves and being aware of how our emotions are induced within ourselves, and how we are trying to channel those emotions, is going to help us anticipate the reactions from anyone and everyone around us. So we are performing, we are self-aware, at the same time we are also able to anticipate the next thing that might happen. That is going to help us be a lot more prepared to handle the situation rather than be knocked down by it.
So, Akshay, I partially agree to this. Maybe this is works
Hello?
with you, but Akshay, can you hear me?
Hello?
Hello, Akshay, can you hear me?
Uh, can you hear us, Akshay? All right. Can others hear us?
Your
Yes.
voice is audible,
Hello?
Satya. I can hear you.
Okay. Let's just keep
Okay.
going. Then. Yeah.
So I certainly feel that this gives you a glimpse into other people's emotions and you are able to empathize more. But at the same time, I think when we do this activity to anticipate and prepare, it still loses that calmness, because once again we are in the alert mode. Once again I am expecting something and then I want to respond in a certain format. So it's like wanting to change the situation also, and when that
More so control the situation.
yeah, more so control the situation. So there is a difference between mind programming or any other philosophies or approaches and mindfulness. In terms of mindfulness, there is nothing called controlling. So we don't control our mind, we don't control our emotions, we don't control ourselves or others. We regulate emotions for ourselves to be calm, but that is also not to a point where we force ourselves or suppress ourselves, but to mindfully watch it.
So emotional intelligence itself doesn't have an element of self-control or controlling anything. There is an element of self-regulation. But there is no such thing as self-control or controlling the other person or anticipating the situation. Once again, we are not saying that that doesn't work or people don't do that. Definitely, that is a practice that some people do. They try to be alert and try to anticipate and do. That's fine. But what we are saying is that for a moment, let's park that approach aside, and let's not be afraid to even think that I may not be able to anticipate anything here. And we are not asking you to anticipate anything also. We are just asking you to observe yourself. And when Akshay was talking about that Bharatnatyam example, an image kind of flashed in front of me is, like when you go to gym, sometimes when you are exercising, there's a very big mirror in front of you. So it's like that you can see yourself exercising. You can see yourself if there is a dance movement, someone who goes for learning dance, then in the studio there is mirrors everywhere. So while you are dancing, you can also see how it looks like when you are dancing. So that way you can self-review your own steps and see whether your posture is correct or you are leaning in one side or not. Because if the mirrors are not there, then you can't tell that. You are just too busy dancing. You don't know that you go more on your left side or you go more on your right side or what happens. So that is the practice that we are proposing right now as a first step, without any next step. So I think I'm saying that this is a complex step, and Gauri asked also, what's next after that? What I am saying right now is, that's it. It is a complex step and there are more. But what if I say, only do that for now? And just go ahead and only see yourself doing it. There is no next step for anybody for now. Because the next step we can talk about and all that, it will not make sense until you actually get here and observe. It's like this. Let's say that you guys are are standing at the foothill of a small hill, and I'm standing on top of the hill, and from there I am telling you about the view. And you understand that when we get to the top, we will see this view. But then you are also asking me what's next, and I'm saying, I'll tell you what's next, but just come to this top of the hill first and watch the view with me, and then I will tell you what's next after that. I'm not going to tell you what's next. I can see what's next from there. I can see there is more, and I can keep describing you, and you can probably make a mental picture out of it as well, that this is what I might be seeing. And I'm saying, don't make the mental picture. Just come and see it yourself. So why waste time? Or why try to paint a mental picture of what is next? Why not do this first step and then just see it for yourself, that what next step would be like?
Yeah.
Any comment on that?
Well, while Akshay was quoting and you happened to quote across the like doing dance or like doing any other kind of activity, there were certain examples which came to my mind. Okay, likewise, when we are into a sports activity and we are surrounded by so many things, let's take an example of kabaddi. I believe most of us would know about that sport. And when you go into the opponent side, okay, there's not only one person who is there to attack you, it's a complete team, okay. And then there are people in the background who are watching you doing that sport, okay. So you become, in a way, completely self-aware that any step that I take could be negative, could be positive, and you start contemplating. So what I believe, these discussions, these calls, whatever we are going through, our mind has been conditioned into a certain way, okay, and it's conditioning that has not happened one day or a year or all. It's been a multiple layers that has been done, okay, and through the multiple surroundings that we have been into. So we are just trying to go ahead and do a little bit of alteration by making ourselves self-aware, be it any situation, be it any emotions that we are going through. That's the first step that we are doing currently. And when we completely are aware, okay, fine, that this is something that we have completely attained, and yes, we are ready and we are good to go to the next step, then obviously we'll be doing discussions onto that. That's what my observation is.
And yes, exactly. And I can tell you this right now, and this is on recording also, I can tell you this right now, that when you have completed this step, I probably wouldn't even need to tell you the next step. You will know the next step yourself. I can guarantee you this part. I can guarantee you that when you get there, you would automatically know what the next step is. It is that inherent to us. This knowledge that we are talking about, it belongs to all of us already. It's just dormant. It has not come from anywhere. It was always with us. And you have very rightly said this, that this over so many years there are layers that have got on top of it. So when layers get on top of something, that sentence itself tells you that it exists. There is just layers on top of it. So you don't have to acquire it. You already have it. All you have to do is just wipe that layer away. So you can see it, you can get to it. You don't have to acquire it. You all have it. We all have it. We just clear it. That's all. And this is the first step to clearly seeing it.
Also, I feel the openness to be proven wrong is very important. So a lot of times when we get into a very high emotion kind of a situation, we want to be right. No matter what you are irritated about, what you are angry about, there is a tendency to see that, no, I am right in this situation, and that's the reason I have the right to be angry or right to be irritated. And that's where the conflict begins. So keeping that horse in check of wanting to be right in the first place and being open to whatever is actually the key to, like, that's where you jump that gap, and that strength to jump this gap from where you are to where you want to be would come from that idea that, okay, I am okay to be wrong, I'm okay to be not in a controlling position, and I'm also okay that the other person feels the anger or frustration. A lot of people are over considerate also. They feel that if they say this, it will hurt other people, or it will be, but then a lot of time, because you suppress, either you damage them also in a way, because they don't know your authentic self. You damage yourself because you've suppressed, and then the relationship builds on that. That is also quite unhealthy. So really looking at this horse on which we said that I want to be right, or I don't want to express because it will create a certain consequence. Both these horses are dangerous to ride on. So stepping down from them in the first place, and really being open to being completely wrong. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's the topic we picked up is very dear to us, and
definitely.
And I think I can just say this, that it's fundamental to all the work that we do. It is the fundamental, the crux part of it, on which you build everything, whether it is leadership, or whether it is personal development or relationships or anything. The first and foremost thing is to start watching yourself. That's the first and foremost thing. Forget about everything else. Right? For now, this is what we call enlightened selfishness. Enlightened selfishness is when you understand that in order for you to take the next step, which is good for others or people around you, you first have to close yourself, go in isolation, and start doing this. You have to become that selfish person to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Enlightened selfishness, a term that was coined by Buddha, which is Gauri. So it's called enlightened selfishness. Ambika is typing up in the chat window. Okay, so become selfish for a greater cause, for a greater good, for something which is bigger than you. Understanding that in order for me to understand that big picture, I first have to fold myself. And what would you do when you fold yourself is this practice where I gave you 2-3 options, whichever works for you. Whether you feel like that you have a twin brother or a twin sister who's constantly watching you and telling you, or you can imagine 2 of you, or you can imagine that all your life, the whole entire thing, whatever you do, whether you are eating, talking, brushing your teeth, having shower, whatever, it's right in front of a mirror and you can see yourself doing that. Everything, every action, start observing. So not just wait for you to be angry or happy to do this. Start doing it. Even right now, if you can observe yourself, how you are sitting and taking this call, and what you are doing and all that. So start becoming good at this. So start practicing this. Don't wait for only emotions or anything like that. Everything, 100% everything that you're doing. And the pinnacle of this, I can tell you, and I know these people personally, are people who can actually observe themselves in sleep. They actually can tell you how they were sleeping. That's the pinnacle of this kind of observation, where you become so aware of your own body and mind that you can even watch yourself sleeping. And it's something, it's very advanced level. I'm not saying that is where we need to get to. I'm just telling you that where people have reached, what people have got to this kind of level, that they're so self-aware. And I took the example of sleep, because when you are asleep, you're totally unconscious. You don't even know which way you were sleeping, how you were sleeping, and all that. So these people can actually observe to that kind of extent as well, and they can report back, and you can observe. It's not that they are just telling you. People have observed them sleeping, and then they're telling back when they wake up that this is how I was sleeping, and you confirm that's exactly what you saw as well.
So Gauri is asking, are there any pointers for observation? Which is a very interesting. I'm sitting and taking this call. What all to observe? Okay, is that okay with everybody? And if they can all hear me, can type in the chat window to do an exercise instead of me telling you. Let's try to experience this right now.
Just go ahead. I think people are able to hear you.
Okay.
We can't keep confirming.
Cool.
Let's just go ahead.
Okay. So in this moment, let's just close our eyes and relax our body wherever we are. Just relax your body fully. Relax your forehead, eyes, ears, neck. Let the shoulders drop. Relax your hands fully. You can keep them on your knees, you can keep them on the bed, or just relax in whatever position till the fingertips. Relax your spine fully. Relax your chest. Breathe from your stomach. Relax in this moment. Now relax your buttocks, your thighs, and your knees. If your knees are folded, just check if this fold is the most relaxed you have had so far. Relax your legs, your feet, and sense the tickling in your toes right now. Now let's observe the sensations in our body. What all to observe, but let's begin with our own body. In this moment, is there a sensation on your feet if it's touching something? Maybe your slippers, or if you have a cold floor or a hot floor, or what is it? What is your feet telling you in this moment? Do they want to relax? Now look at the sensations your clothes might have against your legs. Or let's see the sensations in your buttocks at the point where it's touching the surface on which you're sitting. There might be a sensation of weight, or there might be a sensation of your clothes, maybe warmth. It's very important to label these sensations for ourselves. Now let's see and feel what your stomach wants to tell you. When you breathe in and you breathe out of your belly, Look at the breath. Look at how it goes up and how it goes down. Now let's look at the sensation in our lower back, the bottom of our spine. Observe anything that's there without any judgment. Just in case if you are experiencing a little bit, even a tiny bit of pain, don't go on the horse of thoughts of how it is a problem. Maybe I need to check with doctor. Maybe I need to change my posture. Yeah, okay, let the thoughts come. But let's not board the train. Let's stay with the sensation. How does it feel in your lower back? Just this 4 inches above the tailbone. And focus fully onto that point of your tailbone right now. Breathe in and breathe out. Observe the emotions that may be rising at this moment. Relaxed. Now let's begin to observe our whole of our back, the whole spine. The curvature of your spine, the sensation of your clothes against your skin. Do you feel a sense of breeze around there? See what's there in this moment, right now, just here. Now let's observe the sensations in your shoulders. Let them drop fully, like droop, as if you have had a long day of work and now you're sitting in the best chair in your room, in your house, where you feel completely relaxed. And feel that amazing feeling in your shoulders right now. Now, let's observe our forehead. Forehead which is completely relaxed. Now let's get inside your head. Now watch each thought that is coming. A thought about this meditation, a thought about hunger, a thought about anything that's happening in your background which is probably not letting you be in the meditation, every distraction that's coming your way. Observe all those thoughts, but don't board the train. See them, acknowledge it, and let it go. Let the thought come, let the thought go. Each thought will try to audition for your attention. Don't give it attention. Just acknowledge and let it go. Feel it, let it go. See it, let it go. And
you might feel, oh my God, there's so many different kinds of thoughts coming. And there's so many of them. Yes, there are so many of them, and it's okay. No matter how many, doesn't matter to you. Till the time you don't board any of the trains, let many trains come and go. You are just on the edge of that platform. Let the trains come, let the trains go. Let the thoughts come and let the thoughts go. Okay, beautiful. So now you are experiencing a sense of calm. And let's see and try that it stays with us for the rest of the evening. Let's slowly try to come back to the present moment. You can wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, rub your hands, and put them gently on your eyes. Okay, now you can open your eyes in your palms and come back fully now. Okay, so maybe we could share in one line of how it was. Anybody
That was
can
an
start.
awesome feeling.
Oh, thank you. Great.
I think it was relaxing.
Relaxing. Okay. Jyotsna, Swati.
It was relaxing.
It was relaxing.
Mm-hmm. Great. Jyotsna, are you able to talk? Like you're unmuted?
Gauri, I'm really sorry, but you are not audible.
Okay. Ambika here.
Oh, I'm really sorry.
Jyotsna?
I'm really sorry. I was watching the chat. I'm really sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
No worries. Yeah. Okay, no problem. Okay, Gauri, I would like to talk to you if you can unmute.
Yeah, but it's disturbing everyone, that's why.
No worries. Now, in this moment, it's fine, I guess, because I can't hear an echo. So,
Okay,
you asked, are there any pointers towards observation? And that's
Yeah.
the reason.
And you gave many.
Okay, sweet. Okay, could you share what
Yeah.
you gathered out of the exercise?
Yes, so like the example that Sachin cited, even if we are brushing our teeth, we should be able to observe ourselves. So while doing it, I was clueless what to. So now I know each sensation. So where I'm standing on the floor, that can be one pointer. How my whole body is feeling at that point of time. Are there any sensations? I think these would be some of the things to start with.
Yeah, that's a great takeaway, I must say. You've nailed it, because that's exactly why I thought we should do this. Maybe I'll tell a fun exercise that all
Your
of us
voice
can
is,
do. Yeah,
Amrita,
I'm
your
saying
voice.
I'll tell a fun exercise that we all can do
Okay.
tomorrow or tonight.
Yeah.
So when you brush, try to define the taste of your toothpaste.
Okay.
Just the taste.
Yeah, so we are so mindless that we never notice.
Yeah, and there are so many flavors, and we tend to buy a certain toothpaste a lot of times because of a certain taste. But this is like the most basic, and sometimes children respond. I have a 3-year-old nephew, 2-year actually, and he responds to different toothpaste, but I actually don't.
I thought, how about we do the here and now challenge, if they want to.
Yeah, that's
Okay. Fine. And one more thing, Sachin has an idea. So we did this challenge called Here and Now in the past, I think 2-3 months back. Here and Now in the past, yes. And in that one, it was like a 7-day exercise where we would share some pointers and people had to share back of how their experience was. So if anybody or all of you want to, we can conduct something like that.
Yeah, that would be amazing if it can be done. I have a question here on the same topic, like toothpaste. So when it comes to toothpaste, definitely if the brand changes, or more so if we are going from going towards herbal from our usual one, then only we may feel a change. However, when it comes to our regular tea, which we would be drinking 3-4 times a day, if there is a slight variation, then also it comes to my notice. I don't know how it happens with others. For example, if there is ginger or there is no ginger, I would come to know. So while brushing, my mind is not focused, but how it is happening that while drinking that tea, if there is no ginger, I will immediately come to know.
I think it's good to experiment first.
Habit. Simple answer is habit.
And a complex answer later.
Okay.
So when we continue to do something the same way, in the same pattern, our body just gets used to it, and it becomes our habit. It becomes
Okay.
we don't stay conscious about it anymore, because this is the design of our brain. Any repeated task you continue to do in the same fashion, same way every day, the subconscious mind takes over and releases our conscious mind from remembering it or analyzing it, because conscious mind is required for other purposes, for analysis, for figuring out things, logic and all that.
Right.
So as you are drinking same tea, same thing again and again and all that, there is no need for you to taste it anymore, because you kind of okay with the taste. You know this is what I want. It's a habit now. You just drink the same thing the same way again and again. And as soon as something different comes, it interrupts the habit. And that is the only time you will notice it. Interruption of your habit. Unless the interruption comes, you will continue to do.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds logical. Yeah. So my conscious mind is working now.
Yes. If you observe, or not just you, if you all observe, we can pretty much sum ourselves down into two things. I'll just put this, and I won't explain this, and maybe as we talk more and more over the days, you might start to relate with this. But if you observe, ultimately we are all built of just two things, and those two things are perceptions and habits. You start observing that we are nothing more than that. Probably think a lot. We might want more about. We have these skills, we are art or whatever. But at the end of the day, nothing that we do, all our responses, all our actions, our whole life is nothing more than a combination of our perceptions and habits. So observe, and we will discuss it over the days. What comes around
Actually,
it.
yeah, tomorrow's topic is never.
Yes, so Ambika, you mentioned something here and now in past, some activity. What was that?
It's a 7-day challenge on WhatsApp. We
Okay.
share one exercise in the morning every day, and everybody in the group has to do that and share about what they found out. And yeah, so it's like a 7-day program or an exercise where
7-day
people
challenge.
get it.
And
People
it's a
actually,
WhatsApp challenge.
it's a WhatsApp challenge. Yeah, people
Okay,
actually
sounds
understand
interesting.
and start experiencing. Okay,
okay.
fine,
Mm.
great. Thank you so much, guys. It's 8:20. But yeah, it was worth the jump and the extension. I hope for you guys as well. For us, it was great.
Okay.
Amazing. Thank you
Thank
so
you, guys.
much, and we see
Look
you
forward
again
to you
next.
tomorrow.
Bye.
Okay,
Sure.
great.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Good night. Good night.
Yeah, bye.